Hi everybody, good evening ladies and gentlemen. How is everybody tonight? Let's just have a quick look. I'm trying to get this chat box to open correctly. Oh, that's better. I think I've already said hello. Tracy, good evening. Lorianne, good evening. Dan, good evening. Dana, hi John, thanks. Yes, I'm here. It's been retired, able to live stream in the middle of the afternoon. Quite right, Denise, yes. That's a good point. Anything that means early retirement's got to be a good thing. Tanya, hello, welcome. Robert's here. Hi, John. Hi, John. Hi, Robert. Rather, Anita is here. Is here in the building. Hello, Anita. Good evening. Well, it's 8 o'clock here in the UK. I don't know where you guys are, and I don't know what time it is. But hi, Jane. Thanks for joining tonight. Maddie's here. My spidey senses were tingling, I can only imagine. Tanya, good evening, hello, welcome one and all. So I'm just going to give it a moment just to... oh, by the way, before we start, can everybody hear me okay? I guess you can, because you're replying to what I'm saying. As far as I'm aware, I'm not on mute at the moment, but after last week, then who knows? Anita, 9 p.m. So you must obviously be in Europe somewhere, Anita. I can't remember where you are. 3 p.m. in Ontario, Canada. So it's middle of the day for most of you guys. It's 8 o'clock here. And I don't know what the weather's been like where you are, but it's been, it's supposed to be spring, and it's been absolutely freezing. It's down to about 2 degrees, and they're even saying that we might get some snow. So it's looking great. I can't wait. Bring out those spring flowers. 3 p.m. in New Jersey, Aunt Maddie. 2 p.m. Chicago. 2 o'clock Central. So you're pretty much daytime in the afternoon, whereas it is now completely dark here. Cold and rainy, and it's awful. I hate it. I really hate cold weather. It's just not nice. It's just not good. Right, I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Freezing in Connecticut. Yeah, it's terrible, Denise. It's not nice. First of all, before we crack on with what I've got tonight, I've got a couple of shout-outs, which I completely missed last week. And so I want to do the right thing and thank them on here on the stream, because if they watch the replay, I know Maddie's here already, so that's fine. But there was another person as well, and I'm not sure if he's on here or not yet. But anyway, if he does watch the replay, then he'll obviously hear the shout out. But what I want to do is, I just wanted to thank a very generous donation from Maddie last week of £10, which was amazing. And I've already thanked her, but I thought it'd be really nice to thank her on the stream, to her face in a virtual way. And also, we managed to get a new subscriber last week. His name was Martin Brown. Thank you, Martin. Like I said, I don't know if you're in the room or even if you're with us, but it was much appreciated even. So thank you for that. Right, hopefully I won't miss anything tonight. I will try my best to keep an eye on all this stuff that's going on around, including keeping up with the chat. Tanya, thank you. Tanya, you've just found the channel. That's really surprising, but no, it's not really. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us tonight. Aunt Maddie, snuggling weather. Yeah, it is. Yeah, don't say snuggling weather to Robert. He is in the room somewhere. But anyway. So hopefully, like I said, I won't miss anything tonight. Initial links in this, yeah. Okay, Mad. Right, so we'll get started. I think we've got 18 people, is it, here at the moment? So, especially for Tanya, I guess, who's just joined. If it's your first time here, my name is John, and I run the History Roadshow channel. And the aim really is to deliver some short historical stories, which in turn, I do hope then you can go and then discover a little bit more, perhaps in your own time. Now, I like to call it, and YouTube actually call it, edutainment. And the aim, I guess, is to just spark some interest. So if you see something you really like, then obviously it's down to you guys to go and learn a little bit more about it. Now, as we know, history is a fascinating subject, and even more intriguing when you delve deeper into some of the tales and yarns from years gone by. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat. I shouldn't do. I should just keep talking to you guys. Anyway, tonight, after last week, we covered Elizabeth, and tonight Elizabeth is again involved, but it's a little bit different to last week's offering, as we're going to go on a virtual tour of what can only be described as one of the most magnificent historical venues you'll find in the UK. Now, its history spans 900 years and includes many medieval and Renaissance features. So with that said, let's begin our tour of the mightily impressive Kenilworth Castle. And just to get you in the mood, here is a very quick intro into tonight's offering, and I'll be back in about 40 seconds. Kenilworth Castle is located in the town of Kenilworth in Warwickshire. Constructed from Norman through to Tudor times, the building has seen Edward II, its captive, John O'Gaunt and Robert Dudley, its masters, and Queen Elizabeth I, its honoured guest. Come with us now on a journey to discover the trials and tribulations of one of Britain's greatest medieval castles. So there we go. There is a very brief insight into what we're going to be looking at tonight. So it was about that. There was a video on the channel, and it's probably way over 2 years old. So what I've done, I've remixed it, and it's going to be re-released again tonight, right after we've done with this stream. Cheryl from Jacksonville. Good evening, Cheryl. I hope you're well. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight. Marie, again, welcome, Marie, if you're here. I can see your name there. Thanks for joining us, and I'll let you guys just have a chat between yourselves. So what we're going to do, it's not so many clips tonight, it's more a series of images. But like I say, if you want to watch the video at the end, it's going to be released virtually within 2 or 3 minutes of this stream finishing. I think the stream itself, you're probably looking, if we do 45 minutes, it'll be great. So it's not going to be a real long thing. It's just going to be a little bit snappy, get to the point, show you some of the features, discuss maybe one or two of the stories about the castle and its history, and then I'll leave the rest to you guys. You can have a look at the video and obviously explore a little bit further. So we're going to begin, and we're going to start looking at the Gatehouse, which in fact is the only complete building left on the site. Now, it was built around 1571, but after 1650 it was turned into a very large house, and it's only about half a mile, I think, to the parish church of Kenilworth, where Elizabeth actually visited in 1575 when she went to a service there. But we'll talk more about Elizabeth a little bit later. So here's an image of the Gatehouse. It's looking straight up. Now, it's a magnificent building in a traditional style. If you look closely, you can definitely see some Tudor influences, but it was never built as a strong, foreboding kind of fortress. It's rather more of a symbolic feature, but one that Dudley hoped would bowl over the Queen. Now, the doors are Gothic in style, although it's thought these are more a reference to its past rather than at the time of the 16th century. Now, it was converted into a home in 1650, as I said earlier. A guy, a parliamentarian actually, called Colonel Hawkesworth, he bought the property and he made some changes, as most people do when you go and buy yourself a new pad. Yet all his materials came from other Leicester buildings within the castle grounds. Now, the entrance, excuse me, I'm just going to have a quick drink. Are we going to do one about Elizabeth and Dudley? There is a video on Elizabeth and Dudley, Tanya, so whether I do a live stream, I'm not too sure. Okay, back to this. At the entrance, you can see the initials R and L, which stand for Robert, Earl of Leicester. Now, when you step inside, it's at that point that you're really taken back in time. And one of the most amazing pieces to be found is the alabaster fireplace of Elizabeth, which I'll show you now. And there it is in all its glory. It just looks stunning. And it's centuries old, but it looks absolutely stunning. Now, this item, this particular fireplace, comes from another part of the castle, and quite possibly it was originally in Leicester's Tower. Again, that's another area we'll have a look at a little bit later. That is where the Queen's private apartments would have been found, but it was removed and placed within this residence. Now, as in the way of the entrance, again, the fireplace, once again, details the initials R and L, but the wooden mantle, and you can't really see it on this, the wooden mantle above has E and R inscribed or carved into the surface, and of course that stands for Elizabeth Regina. Okie doke. Going upstairs, around the building, you'll find lots of wood panelling. Now, it shows how the building may well have looked in its original state. However, it is important to point out after it was turned into a residence, many changes have taken place to the overall building, even up until I think it's around about the late 1950s. But it's still a fascinating to see portions, and portions do remain virtually untouched over time, well, at least from the 17th century onwards. So that's a little insight for you into the Gatehouse at Kenilworth Castle. Right, let's have a quick look at this chat. I need to keep up with all this. Wine crowd, beautiful. It is beautiful, Denise. Yeah, you're quite right. It is. There's some wonderful furniture in there as well, which you'll see in the video if you stay to the end. You'll see the video at the end. Well, it'll be on the channel live at the end. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a tickly throat. Okay, so that really is the Gatehouse, Leicester's Gatehouse. So before we get into looking around further, I'm going to start by giving you a little background information on the castle. Now, I've got this image here, which is an artistic interpretation of how the castle may well have looked back in the day. So the history, as I said at the beginning, there's 900 years of it. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But the first castle was established around 1120 by a guy called Geoffrey de Clinton. Now, he actually built most of the Norman Tower, which again we'll see shortly. In the 13th century, King John, no relation by the way, then added an outer wall to enclose the buildings already there. But he also built a dam to really make it a formidable site. And all the work... Sorry about that, I'm just getting distracted. I'm looking around at other things. All the work proved to be the right choice for Kenilworth, as it was at the heart of a great siege back in 1266, in which it successfully held at bay the oncoming army. Now, let me just get back to this, because Jane D, thank you so much for your tip this evening. That is really, really appreciated. And as with all the donations, tips and whatever it is, they all go back into the channel, and they pay for a lot of the equipment, and they pay for all sorts of little bits and bobs that generally you guys don't get to see. But thank you so much for that. Okie doke, let's carry on. So where were we? Right, yes, I was talking about the history. Well, John of Gaunt, he developed the estate further, but he was looking more into creating a palace rather than a fortress. Now, John, by the way, was the son of Edward III. So then we move from John, moving forward again in time. I'm not going to cover every single person who was at the castle, just the kind of main characters. So moving forward again in time, we're looking into the 16th century, and that was the time that Elizabeth I granted the castle to her favourite boy at court, none other than Robert Dudley. Let's have a look at Robert. We know he's in the room, so it'll be like a mirror image for Robert, this one, what if he's looking at himself. There we go, right, good old Robert. Now, today, the old castle and the area is cared for by English Heritage. Now, for the guys in the US, you may not have heard of English Heritage, but what they do is they manage many properties throughout the UK, and as a member you pay a subscription every year, and you can then gain free admission to many of these historical sites. So there you go, a brief intro into the history of the building, and now we are going to have a little look, a little bit more of an in-depth look at some areas within the castle. So let's get back to the screen. Let's have a quick check on these messages coming through. But stunning wood paneling. It is, Robert. It's stunning inside there, the paneling. Such craftsmanship. Yeah, exactly, Laurie. It's really good. Top-notch stuff. Anita, the link didn't work for me. I will stick to your buy me a coffee. All right, thank you, Anita. I don't ask for donations or anything. It's entirely up to you guys, but it's really much appreciated. And like I said, it all just goes back into the channel anyway, and paying for the stuff that I need to pay for to keep it going. Tip the other way. Sorry, okay, mate. Giselle. Is it Giselle? I hope I pronounced that right. Thanks for coming, Giselle. You've not missed a great deal, to be honest. And I'm sure some of the guys in the chat will fill you in if you ask one or two questions. Lorianne, I don't know why it's not working. I don't have really much control over it. It's just something that's set up, and it may not be working. But don't worry too much. Seriously, it's not a problem. Okie doke. Right, where were we? We're going to start looking within the castle area. I've just been through the history, and we've looked at Robert, and let's have a look where we are. I forgot where we are. I'm reading these. Oh, Cynthia. Yay, I made it. 3 PM in Boston. Thanks for joining us, Cynthia. Okay, right, we're going to start with the Great Tower. Here is a picture of the Great Tower. This really is probably the centerpiece of the castle. Now, starting with the Great Tower, it was, as I said earlier, built by a guy called Geoffrey de Clinton. Now, the upper stages because it does have different levels. The upper stages were added by King John around the start of the 13th century, and the grid windows, which I'll show you shortly, were added by Robert Dudley. Now, it's said that this was quite possibly the main residence of the castle, with the upper floor being a great hall and the lower part quite possibly just a meeting place before venturing upwards. Now, in this second image, there's I pointed out one or two things that I'll be able to tell you what exactly they are. Or maybe not on that one. Why's that one disappeared too? Bear with me 2 seconds. Let me just drag up this. I'm sure I've got another image. Where's my image gone? I did do this earlier, so it would be all absolutely pinpoint perfect, but you know what I mean. It's stream. Where's my picture of? Oh, it's not there. It's not there. Right, we'll have to go with this one. Okay, so I will tell you roughly what these things are. Right, the bottom left-hand corner. I did actually do this image, and I've probably not saved it. I'll probably just shut it all down. The bottom left-hand corner, the archway, that was originally the doorway to the stairs, which would have got you into the upper levels. Now, just to the right of that, you'll see another archway, which is pretty much central on the screen. That is, in fact, an original Norman window. It's the ones you'll have seen. Excuse me, just have a drink. It's the ones you would have seen where they fire the arrows out in these old movies and things like that. Just to the right again of that little archway, which is bang in the bottom middle of your screen, there's a little square. It looks like a kind of a doorway. That was actually access to the well. So that's where they would have gone and got all the water and everything from. Now, on the top left, and it's right on the very edge, if you look right on the very left edge of that image, there's a little kind of square, not the top one, the one below it. It's about probably a third of the way down the image. In that there, it does look a little bit curved, but you can't really see it on this image, but that was actually the spiral staircase that went all the way up through the building. And then go straight across from that, and you'll see those two windows there, which were added by Robert Dudley, the Elizabethan windows, the one that are sectioned. They were added by Robert Dudley when he came into the castle. Now, there's one fact that I will never forget about this particular building. In places, and it's quite hard to get your head around when you see how houses are even built today, but in places, some of the walls are actually 16 feet wide, and the highest point is 98 feet, and apparently the roof span was around 30 feet, which is it's a truly outstanding build. Whoever, did that and managed to work out the stresses and forces involved in doing that, it's quite incredible. Now, most of the people over time who were resident here made their own changes, as anybody would when they move into a new property. So the building has certainly been developed over at least 500 years, and as you can see in that picture, you've got from the Norman window down at the bottom, put that 500 years, you've got the Elizabethan windows right above it. So let's have a look at the next picture we've got of the tower. This is a view from the outside. You can actually see Dudley's windows there, about halfway, the ones with the cross parts on them. They're the ones that Dudley put in. But yeah, it's quite an amazing building. It's unclear actually what it was used for, the building itself, because it would have probably catered for many people going in and out of the castle. It may have just been reception areas. Nobody really knows what it would have been used for. It could have been possibly used for housing. There might have been private rooms and chambers, but the consensus, from what I can understand, is that it was mainly used for entertainment purposes. So that is the tower, and it's like I say, it's an amazing building, and 900 years is right there in front of you, just looking at the different windows and things like that. Right, I'm just going to have a quick look at this chart, see what's happening. These pics are breathtaking. Thanks, Maddie. Yeah, they are quite... it's truly amazing when you see these places. It does take you back. You do have to have a really good imagination for a lot of the places you visit, and I do talk about that a bit later, actually. I will mention that again. Tracy, the theory was if the arch failed, the head mason was responsible for the build, so he was first to stand under it. Yeah, I can well believe that. Marie, hello. I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for joining me tonight. Denise, I like that. Quality control, Tracy. I don't know what you guys just carry on. I'm sure you're having a good time in there anyway. Right, okay, so that was the Great Hall. Now the lower floor, let me just see what I'm up to here. Okay, we're going to move on to the Great Hall. Now this is different to the building we've just seen. This was a work by a guy who you've probably heard of called John of Gaunt. And one of his great architectural works. It's no surprise that this particular building was left untouched even by Dudley when he moved in. So I'm going to show you an image of the Great Hall, and this is it. It doesn't show it all, it is a Great Hall, but it does show some of the architecture and some of the work that actually went into this. Now its size, once again, is amazing. It was certainly built with an image in mind. Now the hall itself was not a ground level. It was based on the first floor, like we saw in the other one, and it would have had steps which would have taken you up to the upper levels. Now I've not got any. Obviously, there's not a lot remaining of that, but what is left is, again, architecturally, it's quite an amazing thing to see. So that John of Gaunt was actually responsible of that. Was actually responsible for that. Now the lower floor there was basically cellars, and they were probably to store wine in. So imagine the scene. If you're in that upper hall one evening, you've got the roaring fires, you've got the light bouncing off the spectacular windows, and you've got the warmth of tapestries which are covering the walls. I guess if we throw in a little music, add some candles for added effect, it all sounds quite cosy. But it was certainly nothing new to have a hall on this or near this scale within Kenilworth. It was one part of the complex that did change with the times. Now, my understanding is no records exist of how it changed over the years, but there are glimpses of differing styles if you look closely at what remains. Now, as with all estates such as Kenilworth, it goes without saying that when you have a hall on this size, it's most certainly conducive to great feasts and banquets, and fine dining would probably have been the order of the day. But for John of Gaunt that is, the hall was probably only used when special guests arrived on VIP visits. So the question is, where was all the catering done when such visits took place? And that takes us beautifully into the next section, where we're going to have a look at one of the, if not the biggest kitchen you've probably ever seen, although it is a ruin, so yeah, again, you have to imagine this. Any great picture. Thanks, Anita, great picture. It's a great place to visit. If you do ever get the opportunity, I would urge you to go and have a look. It's really, really good. That place looks drafty, says Laurie. Where's it gone? That's jumped. Oh, there you go. I would double up on my furs and a good shot of spirits. I think you'd be quite right to do that. Okie doke. Right, where are we? I'm going to show you the kitchen, which is immense. And if you do watch the video at the end, you'll see kind of a full panning shot of this area. This is just massive. It's just enormous. You can't really. It's very difficult looking at these images to visualize what was actually there, and I don't have any images, and I can't find any images to show you that give some sort of interpretation as to what we're looking at here. The one thing you can see, I guess, are the fireplaces. But originally, let's talk about this kitchen. If one actually existed back in 12th century, it would have been of a wooden construction, and clearly the remains of anything like that would no longer exist. However, the one that we see here was created by John of Gaunt, and it is a compelling sight. The kitchen at Kenilworth must have been one of the most magnificent to be seen anywhere across Europe, and this monster of a room, and when I say monster, it truly was, said to be around twice the size of a normal cooking area back in the day. Now, I can't remember offhand what the size was, but it's something like over 60 feet in length. It has, like I said, 3 huge fireplaces, and originally would have had a cobbled floor along it. Now, in the corner, this here is one of the bread ovens which has survived. And you can still, obviously you can still see it. Now to the side of this, and again if you watch the video you'll see it to the side, there was a furnace, and possibly there is where they put the old metal tubs and threw all the meat in and made all the meals through that. So like I say, if you watch the video at the end, it does show a little bit more than what obviously I'm showing on here tonight. I'm not showing clips because the video itself is only about 10 minutes. So imagine the counter space. Exactly, Denise. Imagine how much it would cost. Yeah, it's a very expensive style kitchen. But I guess when you imagine how many people would have been going in and out of the castle, you'd need a big facility like that. So this kitchen, in fact, the building as a whole would easily have been able to cater, as I said, for probably hundreds of people. So when Robert arrived, this room would have been by far probably the most busiest room on the whole site. So that's the kitchen area. From the kitchen, we're now going to move over to one of Robert's finest buildings, not just any, and built not just for royalty. Built not just for any royalty, but for the Queen of England, who at this time was uppermost in his mind. And this, of course, is Leicester's building. And again, it's in ruins, but it's not to be confused with the Gatehouse. This actually was a medieval tower block and fit for royalty. Dudley had this put together in 1571, and it was built purely to provide lodgings for the Queen. And it's quite a big building, this, but it was all for the Queen. And funnily enough, in 1572, Elizabeth did actually stay here, probably on just having bed and breakfast, just to test out the accommodation before making her mind up whether to return for a big summer holiday 5 years later. It must have been quite a sight. It was in total 4 stories high and would undoubtedly have been kitted out in the latest splendour of the day. Now, this particular image, you see the black circle, and I'm not 100% certain, but I think I'm right, that if you go there where the top landing is, you can actually walk up these. There's some steps inside that English Heritage have built into these walls now, so you can go up and get views across the countryside, etc. I'm sure that area are the Queen's or Elizabeth's apartments, what is left of them, because a lot of this building was taken down when the old Colonel moved into the Gatehouse, and he used quite a bit of stuff and ripped a lot of this stuff to bits, which is a shame, but it happened. But you can imagine, again, her private apartments must have been extremely glamorous. Now, unfortunately, as I've just said, all the floors and stairs were removed in 1650. There are artist interpretations of what it may have looked like, but it's a shame it was dismantled. So if you want to blame anybody tonight, just blame the Colonel for doing that. Right, anything else in the chat before I'm going to have a drink? My throat's killing me. Wood cooked bread. Yeah, you could have had wood cooked bread. Like a cafeteria. Yeah, it probably was. Probably more like a cafeteria than a decent walk-in, I don't know. What do you have in America? What do you have in the US? What's the type of, I don't know, walk-in restaurant you have in America? I don't even know what we'd have in UK as a walk-in. How and when was electricity put in, Cheryl? No idea, Cheryl. In fact, I wouldn't imagine they'd have much electricity in 1500s, unless you're talking about the Gatehouse. And again, I don't know. No idea. Anyway, luckily, let's get off this picture. So, like I said, luckily, for those of you brave enough to climb the stairs, you can still get to the very top and look out over the Warwickshire countryside. And it's a view Elizabeth would also have rested her eyes upon all those years ago. Now, it's unknown how many of the rooms were utilised by Elizabeth on her visit, but there were so many to choose from, and apart from her private quarters, guests and staff would have had access to her through other adjoining rooms. But again, it's like many sites of this age, you'll have to use your imagination when you visit, but thankfully there are experts on hand, and they're always willing to give you some tasty bits of information. Right, I'm just going to grab a drink. I've got a drink down here, which I need to drink. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I'm not part of English Heritage, Cheryl. Seriously, I'm not. No, I'm not. I am a member of English Heritage, and I've got my card somewhere. I don't know where it is. Where's my card? Let me see if I can find my card. I've got a card. I don't know if it's in here. I think that's the latest one. I don't know if you guys can see that. English Heritage. That's the card, and your name on the back. I think that's the latest one. I'm not sure, because I think it is the latest one. Right? So yeah. So I am a member, but I'm not English Heritage, and I would never say I was, because I'm just not. Okay. Anyway, we're diversifying a little bit here. Now, let's just see where we are. Right, now I'm going to have a look at that famous visit of Elizabeth in 1575. Just bring up a picture of the Queen. Now, as we all know, monarchs... Oh, who's that from Spain? Anna, good evening. Hello from Spain. I did know pop up as you in first live. Great, this one, by the way. Thanks, Anna. Much appreciated. Wow, this Giselle. It is big. It is big, Giselle. Yeah, it's a big place. Right, okay, I'm going to leave you guys to it, but I'm getting sidetracked. As we all know, monarchs travel on a pretty regular basis, and it was no different for Elizabeth. Her progress, as it was called back in the day, would eventually culminate in a 19-day stay with her favourite man, of course, Robert Dudley. It was the longest stay ever at anyone's house by a monarch. Now, the interesting thing about this, and I've got a question for you guys here, is, does anyone want to have a guess what the value of Leicester's building, that's the last picture I showed you where Elizabeth's apartments, would cost today, roughly, to the nearest million? At the time, Dudley spent £60,000 having that built. So in today's money, and you can't really cheat, because it's like it's not even really possible to get it really, really accurate. So give me a ballpark figure as to what you guys think in today's money that would be. Robert, 2 million. 150, I guess that's million, Anna. 150 million. We're talking pounds, by the way. So it's but just go with millions. 23 million, D. Stu. Tracy, 1 million. 200,000. You're so accurate, Tracy, but it's completely wrong. 20 billion, Diana. No. Absolutely no way. Denise, 10 million. No. Let me see who's the closest so far. 350. No. Denise is the nearest so far. That'll give you the clue. I'm not going to keep going because we'll be here all night. Aunt Maddie, 34 million. No, it's not 34 million. 5. Denise, 10 million is the nearest. Oh, Marie, I'm sorry about that. It's just the thing, you can't send anything over 200. So I don't know. It may even count the commas and dots, and I don't know how it works. I don't have really any control over the chat because I'm too busy trying to work out what I'm doing here. But hopefully, just do them really short. Keep them like, oh well, that's great. Yeah, do it like that. It's brilliant. Anyway, okay, so 10 million Denise was the nearest. It's actually, well, roughly, around about 15 million pounds. Now that is an astronomical figure, and I guess it means Dudley not only cried over Elizabeth, but also the bill from his builders. And it is a fact that when he did die with a lot of debt, and there's no surprise when he was splashing that sort of money around. Okay, so back to the royal progress and where to begin. Well, I'm not going to go over what I talked about last week with regards to Robert's wife, Amy. I'm sure her death never crossed his mind when he was spending his millions doing this building for his queen. This was, after all, a moment of extreme extravagance. Now, we've got a picture here of Elizabeth arriving at the castle. So what do we know about what happened in 1575? Well, according to reports, the Queen arrived on horseback, and as she passed through the gates, the courtyard came alive. She was given gifts. There were trumpeters who saluted her, and even a gun salute. So it sounds like quite a welcoming committee. Now, Elizabeth would begin her stay by heading probably straight up to her room after quite a tiring ride on her horse from London to Warwickshire. She probably looked forward to a comfortable bed and for the night, and was joking. Do you know what? I'm going to start again. Let me have a drink. I can't even talk. I can't even talk. She probably looked forward to a comfortable bed for the night. But joking aside, it wasn't just Elizabeth who turned up. She brought a massive entourage with her. Now, in this entourage, there were 31 barons and 400 staff. So nothing really left to chance on this visit. Now, Dudley must have been in his element. It was surely now that Elizabeth would eventually give in to his charms. And it can't be said that Dudley didn't deliver. I guess, he tried his very best. So for the next few weeks, Elizabeth was staying with Dudley there in Kenilworth. And she was entertained royally for that period of time. She would have been entertained on a daily basis, basically. Music, masks, dancing, hunting, and they were all part of the package getaway. She may well have had some optional excursions, but they were obviously pre-bookable at the signing desk. Now, one interesting point is that they consumed around 40 barrels of beer and somewhere in the region of 16 barrels of wine a day. And I don't just mean Elizabeth and Robert, I do mean everyone. And I'm guessing after watching this, a few of you guys may be having a glass of wine. Maybe you're already having one. How long did she stay in average at every place? This, Anna, this particular stay is the longest a monarch has stayed, as far as I'm aware, at any time in English history. 19 days at one residence. I don't think we have had. Well, obviously, we've had royal tours and things since, but they literally do tour, so they've got a day here, a day there. But this is, I think, the longest ever that a monarch has ever stayed at one place, 19 days, and being an official progress as well. Anyway, let's get back to the beer and wine. It's more interesting. To take the hiccups away that probably followed, the night sky was then lit up with fireworks. And I guess the bangs alone would have cured that minor problem. It even said that they had acrobats and dancers and all sorts of stuff going off. Now, I don't know how much you guys know about what some of these events were, or in fact who was responsible for them. But there was a guy called George Gascoigne. Now, he was responsible for much of what we know today about what went off, because he arranged the visit, and he arranged the entertainment that would take place while the Queen was staying there. And he did write a pamphlet or a book, and it was called The Princely Pleasures. Now, he describes the date. In the book, it describes the date of each event alongside the creator, because every event had a different creator, and the explanation of the performance, which is really useful. Excuse me. So it makes, like I said, for an intriguing read. I'll catch up with your remarks in a bit because I can't keep up to date. Yeah? Now, this is one of my favourite stories, and it's the one tale that does stick in my memory. It's the story of a water pageant. Now, apparently, as part of this show, a model of a dolphin had been created, which, by the way, was towed through the lake balanced on a small boat. Now, inside the dolphin, and I've no idea what is right and what is wrong here. Inside, apparently, this dolphin, this shape of a dolphin, was either a musicians, or maybe just somebody singing. I've absolutely no idea. It was a tune about a Greek god, and I'm sure it brought the house down. But in my opinion, and I'm sure for the guests at the time, it must have been a truly amazing sight, and it certainly served its purpose. I do apologise for that little joke, but I couldn't resist it. But the story's true. It's just the porpoise bit is me trying to be funny, and I'm not. But I am here all week, so I'll just carry on and imagine you didn't hear any of that. Hey, right, where are we? But to be honest, the whole 19 days of her stay were mind-blowing for all who attended, and it certainly was the most luxurious, the longest, and by far the most expensive vacation in the reign of Elizabeth. But as we all know, Elizabeth, who enjoyed the company of Dudley, it would never go any further than that. And the Queen, well, she returned to life at her court. As for poor old Dudley, he must have been devastated. He couldn't do any more, and in the end he of course went off and secretly married Lettice Knollys. And that, my friends, was the end of another potentially beautiful relationship. You could call it one of the, what would you call it? You could call it one of the biggest flops for our man Dudley in the history of courting. In fact, it was just absolutely disastrous. You can't even imagine going out today, spending £15 million on your partner for her to turn around and say, well, thanks for that, I'm off, I'll see you later. But I enjoyed that. I mean, it just beggars belief. But there is, anyway, I'm not going to go into all that sort of stuff. So, have you got any opinions on this? I'm just going to have a quick look at the chat because it's doubling up and down, going up and down there. And then, finally, we're going to have a very quick look at, we're going to have a stroll, actually, through the Elizabethan Gardens and get us back into the fresh air and away from all this party atmosphere of Elizabeth and Robert. So let's have a look. I'm just going to quickly scroll up this chat, see what's going off. It was very pricey to host a monarch on Progress. Winfred, you're quite right. Exactly, very pricey. But again, I just can't get your head around the fact that he spent 15 million, well, 60,000 back in the day. It's so much money. And then to put on 19 days of just pure festival, really. It's incredible, the amount of money that was spent. And for him not to get what he really wanted at the end, it's just soul destroying. I mean, as we all know, Dudley died with a massive debt, an absolute ton of debt. Right, let me have a quick look down. Champagne taste, beer pockets, yep, quite right. Excuse me. And the man beloved indeed lacked the courage to back up his words. Gloriana was no fool. She wasn't, Marie. Gloriana was no fool. Quite right. And we know the story between those two. In fact, we know the story between Elizabeth and all the men who tried to woo her in that period of time. Hampton Court, Giselle, yes, you're right. It is. That is quite a big kitchen. Hampton Court, yeah. I've been there. It is quite a big place. Elizabeth was mad and he married Lettice. I heard he did, Anita, yeah. He married Lettice Knollys secretly. And Elizabeth wasn't very keen on that, and I don't know why. I mean, it just makes no sense. He played his bid for getting Elizabeth very high and he lost the bet. No win, no gain. Anna, quite right. Tanya, ouch, yeah, I think that's that just sums it up beautifully, doesn't it? Ouch. Ouch. I mean, there is really no words that can describe it better than that. Ouch. Right, let's have a look what we've got going on. We are going to have a quick stroll around the Elizabethan Gardens. Let me, I've got a picture for you. Beautiful garden. It's, anyway, have a look at this and let me know what you think. So these were the formal gardens. He got, oh, you're not talking, I thought you were talking to me then, Tanya. What do you mean he got Elizabeth High? I didn't say that. Did somebody else say that? Anyway. Anna, he plays. Bid for a game. No, yeah, I get what you're saying. Sorry, I'm going off track. These are the formal gardens, which were the norm in the Elizabethan period, and it was no different at Kenilworth. Now, the garden we see today is a recreation of the one Dudley had made for Elizabeth, so it's quite an accurate representation from the period. Now, the interesting aspects to a garden of that time, unlike today, are that the plants were secondary to its other features, in this case the obelisks, which were a symbol of power, and the statues of Greek mythological gods in the fountain, which was the centrepiece of this particular garden. Here's another view. Now, the garden is split. It's in sections, and it's created using like a geometrical pattern. Now, it keeps everything in sync, and I guess they just enjoyed order in those days. There would have been a variety of plants, but again, plants not like you'd expect to see quite possibly in a garden today. Much more the sort of fruit-bearing trees, such as apple trees and things like that. Here's another view, looking down. Okay, so perhaps the one item that does draw the eye is right at the back of that picture there, which is a beautiful bird aviary, and that's just right on the edge of the garden. And in fact, even to this day, there are some birds still kept in that aviary, and they are, of course, domesticated. They're not just, birds that have been allowed to fly in and then be captured. Excuse me. But this garden is just a small part of what would have originally been there. Back in that particular day, there would have been probably, there are houses at the far side of this now, and trees have spruced up and everything, but it would have just been land for miles and miles and miles, and the majority of that land was used for hunting. So, let me get back to the screen. There's the pictures. So, but it is a great recreation, and again, it's another one of the must-visit areas if and when you hopefully get to visit Kenilworth Castle. Now, there is so much more to Kenilworth than I have mentioned tonight, and I could go on and on and on, but my throat is not going to take it, and I don't think you guys would want to listen to too much more because there is a ton of stuff. But you will be able to watch a very short video coming up right after this stream is finished. So I do appreciate you guys sticking around tonight. It's been, again, quite good. I don't think I've muted myself once. I may have slipped up one or two times, but there you go, that's life. And hopefully you've enjoyed it, and maybe even learnt a little about this fantastic castle and its history. I'm going to get to your chatty stuff in a moment. Now, if you live in the UK, I don't know if many of you do, but if you do live in the UK, you're probably already aware of English Heritage, and I've already mentioned them earlier. They're not asking me to say this, by the way. There's nothing in this for me in English Heritage, just that I'm a member, and it is a fantastic way to go and explore some of the amazing historical sites around the country. Now, if you'd like to watch the Kenilworth tour video, which is around 10 minutes, 9.5 minutes, it's nice. It's nice and short, and it's crammed with a few more interesting facts. And it also includes a reenactment of the Battle of Evesham. Evesham, that was played out on the day of my visit. And I'm going back, it's probably 3 years ago. It may be longer. It was definitely before COVID. So it's a while ago. And of course, there will be a replay of this stream so you can watch it all again, although I doubt you'd want to. But if you do, it will be on the channel as well. Right, I'm going to have a quick look through these messages because I can't keep up. Can't keep up with them. He plays a bit. Oh, I've done that one. No one can say Dudley didn't put the effort in. Right, yeah, exactly. Exactly, Winfred. No one can say Dudley didn't put the effort in. He certainly put the effort in, and he got Jack in terms of reward. The Gardens, I'd look like this. D. I don't know if it's D or D Stew or D. Yeah, the Gardens would have looked like that in Elizabethan time, and they've been recreated. So obviously there are records exist of how the Gardens probably would have looked, and they've recreated it in that particular style. Do I think Elizabeth had fertility problems? I've absolutely no idea. She's known as the Virgin Queen, and maybe that's the way she decided to stay, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. Fertility problems, I couldn't tell you. I don't think there's any, I've not seen any evidence with regards to that, so I don't know. Beautiful gardens, absolutely stunning. They are, Robert, yeah, great, really good gardens. Denise, you would enjoy a stroll through them, quite right, they are lovely. And it's like any place you go to. I mean, let's be honest, if the sun's out, a lot of places look far much better than what they do when it's a bit of a cloudy day. So yeah, you would definitely enjoy them. What else have we got? Thanks, one of the great. I've not gone yet, Maddie. Anna, thank you. Thanks, Anna. Would you say you have right, Bang Bang Barry, would you say you have a favourite castle in the UK? My favourite is probably in Scotland. What's your favourite in Scotland, Barry? Because, and the reason I'm saying that is I am off to Scotland to do a little more research, if you like. Well, it's holiday, but I'm going up at the end of June, and we're going up into the Highlands at the end of June, so I will be looking out for some, definitely for some castles in that area, and bring back some information on them. In England, it's really tough. There's so many. The majority are in ruin. The problem is the majority in ruin. I guess if you're looking for a castle that is still standing and is in probably perfect condition, you'd have to say Windsor. You'd be hard pushed to beat Windsor. Although, thinking again, Warwick Castle is just like, it's just amazing. That is a great place to visit, Warwick. What else have we got in here? A great live stream. Thank you. Will you generally be presenting these live streams about the same time? But hopefully, Denise. I mean, the clocks have just changed in the UK. So we've gone spring forward. Yeah, we've gone an hour forward. So this time last week, it would have been 8 o'clock. This week, it's 9 o'clock. But if I say 8 p.m, and that is the reason when I put it in the community tab, I always put either GMT or BST. So it's BST. We're on BST at the moment, and I think there are ways you can find out on Google the time differences, because I know everybody changes at different times. Right, I'll come back to those in a sec. Right, so thank you. Any last questions? Well, I think we've been through them. Barry, if he's still here, let me know what your favourite castle in Scotland is. Just before we wrap this up then, thank you as always for all your support, and don't forget you can catch me on Facebook, Twitter, and now Instagram. Oh yes, I'm putting some pictures on Instagram. I think I've got 30 followers on Instagram, so it's, you know, I'm happy. Happy days. Now, I don't know how I find the time, and the goal. Now, this is important. The goal this year, I think we've got 15,300, whatever it is, subscribers. The goal this year is to hit 20,000. Can we do it? So please share the videos. Tell your friends, tell your neighbours, tell the people across the street. If you're going into the next town, maybe wear I ought to get some t-shirts made. I ought to get some merch, so you guys can wear an HRS t-shirt and say on the back, go watch, whatever. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you until next time. Don't forget that video's coming up. It should be on in a couple of minutes of me finishing this. Have a great rest of the day wherever you are. And I'll check in again with you at the weekend. We'll definitely have another video lined up then. Quick last look at the messages. What we got on here? There should be far more live streams. Well, Marie, I'm trying. I'll try different things. I'm not afraid to try different things. So yeah, live streams. If people really enjoy the live streams, I will try. And the thing with this one was, I don't want it to be the same every week. I'd rather be a bit more diverse and try a few different things. So yeah, I probably will do more. And the reason, while we're on the topic of live streams, when I put on the community thread on the channel pages, I put that little vote up the other week, and I don't know who it was. I don't know was it Tracy? I can't remember who it was. Said, do I really need to ask? And I think you do need to ask, because for me personally, I don't think you should ever take your audience for granted. And I'm not just saying that. I truly believe that. And if you can keep your audience happy and give them what they want, then that's got to be good. That's got to be a good thing. I don't want to do things just for the sake of doing it. I'm not here just to take money off people or anything. I mean, it's great when you do give me a little donation. It's great, but you understand what I'm saying. So I do think it's important to get your opinions on things. And if there's anything you don't like, I'd rather you just tell me. Just be straightforward and tell me. It's absolutely not a problem at all. Shane has just joined. Now, I don't know if you've just joined, Shane, or have you been working? I don't know. Do I feel more comfortable this time? Shane, I'll tell you what, I've not pressed mute tonight, so yeah, I do feel more comfortable. Katie, I love what you do. I love what you do, Katie, although I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's great. Did Elizabeth keep any dwarves? She may well have done, up to, who knows. Lady D, thank you. Another great stream. Thanks for joining me, Lady D. Maria, thank you for joining from Iowa. Cynthia, I would like to learn more about Isabel of Castile and Fernando de Aragon. Okay, I always enjoy your streams. Thanks, Cynthia. I will do my best. I've got so many kind of characters and stories lined up. It's going to be difficult. But yeah, I will do my best to cram a few different characters in over the coming weeks and months. Tracy, I've learned more about history from you than I did from high school teachers. Well, what can I say, Tracy? What can I say? Marie, it's good to be oneself. Always be it and nothing less or more. Cheers. Cheers, Marie. Thank you. Courtney, do you run this channel by yourself? I certainly do, Courtney. Everything is done by moi. I don't get no help from anybody. Everything is done by me. And thank you, Jane. Again, thank you for the tip earlier. I don't know if anybody else has tipped. Excuse me, it's not come up. So I don't know. I don't know if anybody else has tipped or anything. But if you have, I'll certainly get back to you in the next 24 hours. Stirling Castle, Robert, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Truth Junkie, thank you from Ohio. Thanks for joining me. Right, guys, I am going to get out of here. I really appreciate all of you turning up tonight. It's been a bit of a good one again. Sorry I've waffled on a little bit, but I appreciate you giving up your time to me, and so I feel it's only fair I can give you something back in return. Anyway, enough said. We'll be here all night otherwise. Go and enjoy yourselves. Have a great rest of the day wherever you are. I will see you again at the weekend with another video. Coming up in the next 5 minutes will be the video about this stream tonight. It's only on for 10 minutes. I hope you do get the opportunity to watch it. And until next time, I will see you all again very soon. So good night. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.